this is the time we're going to go into our spoiler review of the Mandalorian season 3, episode 7. We are starting and ending with Mandalorian and Star Wars news today. So hope you like the Star Wars podcast. But yeah, so episode 7 spoiler review. I think for the most part, this was another strong episode for the Mandalorian. I absolutely love the beginning of it, where we get to see Elia Kane reporting to Moff Gideon in the alleys of Coruscant, and then we cut to him and he's talking to the Shadow Council, and it's what I wanted for like the longest time, for us to get like some real planning and answers. And we even got mention of like a Thrawn in the Shadow Council room.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a really well done scene. It almost reminded me of like the Akatsuki like scene in Naruto. I don't know if you haven't seen that show, but just like them gathering and like discussing their menacing plans is just like, it's a great part of the Akatsuki in Naruto.
Yeah, no, yeah. I really enjoyed the beginning too. I love that the probe droid. First of all, it's huge.
It's gigantic. Yeah,
I totally forgot how big those fucking things are.
Yeah.
But I love all of that. Underbelly, like underworkings, all of that.
Yeah.
We also, I don't know if you picked up, but the main commandant guy that Moff Gideon was talking to, I mean, it might not be his dad, but I'm gonna assume it's his dad.
Whose dad?
Hux's from the First Order.
Oh, really? Why would you say that?
Because his name is Commandant Hux, like that.
Oh,
and he's ginger, like he's redhead.
I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's very cool. Wow. Okay.
So he's, and even his first name is like it starts with a B.
Yeah.
And it sounded a lot like Brendan Gleeson.
Cool.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's
got
a clear nod to that character, and that this is clearly going into First Order.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was discussing, their plans on like to disguise themselves as like a non-organized group, and that they've been like amassing a fleet, a couple of them, and yeah, so
they're all waiting on Thrawn to return,
right? And so Moff Gideon is like, "Hey, we might need new leadership if we don't even know like who, like where this guy is." So, it was a lot of cool dialogue and drama and cool plans that we didn't really know were in the works. And yeah, I guess I've been
more
wanting
cloning stuff.
Right, I've been wanting this Imperial Remnant thread to be a lot stronger, and I think this is like a really great start to that, like the beginning of a really strong Empire presence.
Yeah.
Now I think what's interesting, I guess, is that like I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I am not a fan of like episode 9 at all. And so you would think like I wouldn't be a fan of them teasing the First Order. But I really do like episode 8, and I'm okay with episode 7. So like the First Order existing and something else coming into power after like the Empire was defeated, I don't mind at all. Like I think like all the lore there before episode 9 is really well done, or at least well done.
I'll say I will disagree, but my thinking is that a lot of people have told me that the way that Star Wars works is they introduce something and we're like, why the fuck did that happen?
Right.
And this is because this is clear from like Clone War, like from the prequel series and now with Rebels and blah, 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 that they just like, then with other,
right. They'll explain it later.
They'll explain it later.
Right.
Which I don't like, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think that all of this going up to like the First Order, I feel like it could be like, this is a good way to take the bitter taste out of my mouth of
Right.
like, how did we have all these characters be so incompetent to let a literal other,
Right.
basically empire rise up
Empire
again in such a
2.0.
short amount of time?
Right, but I like that we're like really getting to see how it started, you know?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like I do it makes things, it does make things a bit better.
Yeah, it does.
But it's still frustrating that we had to get that
we had to wait so long to like see this group who like is organizing the return of the First Order, or like the takeover.
But even like that we
Right.
had this presence, like that. I think I'm just frustrated that there
Oh, you're
was a
saying,
First
like-
Order to begin with.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I mean, I would agree.
But like I'm cool with like now like having this story about
Right.
like showing the New Republic as being like just ineffectual.
Yeah.
And
No, I was going to say that. I was like, I really enjoy now that like we got to see throughout the season, like the New Republic kind of becoming this like system of like bad checks and balances almost, where like they can't send like troops out to a planet that needs their help, or they're throwing away old like Empire technology, or
right.
yeah, they're brainwashing certain people who aren't like falling in line.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
it's just I want, hopefully with the Ahsoka series, because Mon Mothma's in that,
right.
I'll be able, like, maybe they'll show more about
Like why the New Republic is doing certain things.
yeah,
Or-
like why does it seem so like ineffectual, and
right.
because she's like one of the big
The
key
leaders,
figures of
right.
the rebellion to
Yeah.
like get us back to this point of not having an empire anymore. I'd be like, why
So it's kind of, so yeah, you could say it's like upsetting to see like the heroes who you followed in the first 3 movies turn out to be bad leaders, I guess.
exactly,
but,
like
yeah.
it's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
So it's
Sure,
just, but
yeah.
whatever, like
That's why I'm not faulting anyone who wants to just ignore everything after episode 6. Like
Yeah.
I get it. I really do. But
Yeah.
if you still want more Star Wars lore, then this is it. But yeah, I guess kind of back to the episode here. We get a big plot about the Mandalorians finally landing on Mandalore and like retaking it.
yeah.
And for the most part, it's like a pretty well done conflict and joining of groups. I think where it really gets strong again for me is the ending of this episode, where we get a true like a swarm of new kind of like stormtroopers with Beskar armor on and jetpacks, and the Mandalorians struggle to fight them. They take them all. Well, they take most of them out, and then
They
take the ones that are there out, and then
the Mandalorians.
right. But then they go into they follow Moff Gideon, or they follow like the thread there, and they're like led into a bay where it looks like the Empire has, or the Imperial Remnant has fully like taken over this like the Great Forge
Right.
of Mandalore, and they have like a whole bay of ships and troopers, and Moff Gideon is there, and he set a trap, and it's like I love seeing that, where like I think it was so necessary for us to see them like fall back a little, for us to see them struggle and lose, because it just, I don't know, it was just becoming a boring story to me, and with some conflict, like I needed it. And
Yeah.
and like
yeah.
and I'm so happy it's the Imperial Remnant conflict, because like
Yeah.
I think it's the most interesting one you can have. I will say though, I'm bummed that the Beskar alloy that the guy found on like when they broke out Moff Gideon,
Yeah.
I'm bummed that was only because like his own troopers broke him out, and not because like some rogue Mandalorian did.
I want to agree with you.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
We don't know,
yet.
but I feel like it's pretty implied that if he has his own troops with Mandalorian armor,
yeah. I mean, I think I wouldn't necessarily bet against you. It's just
Right.
until I see the next episode, or whatever.
Sure, like nothing's off the table.
Nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree. Like I think that we did need conflict. That's really like quite, observant to like, because I was like, you're right. Like there hasn't really been conflict, has there?
Yeah,
Like
it's
most
just
of
been-
this
There's been
show,
like a
this
couple
season.
of characters who like go rogue in an episode.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Even like the conflict that I thought that there was going to be between Din and Bo-Katan is
Right. There was none.
There
Yeah.
wasn't, and that was extremely unsatisfying.
Agreed. Yeah.
So yeah, the thing is, the only thing, like, I agree. Like, I like the ending. I like that it all ties up with like Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
That they're now it's like the Mandalorians versus
Imperial
his
remnant.
troops.
Right.
The only issue that I have, and like it ties into like the old westerns of having like the bad guy, the same bad guy who's like they have to fight against. It's just a bummer that like all the exciting parts of this season end up with fucking
Bo-Katan.
Moff Gideon.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, I mentioned Bo-Katan because she was the one who mainly dealt with Moff Gideon there. I know they have history, but so do him and Din. And I feel like I would also say,
like this whole episode was still, and I like it was still mostly Bo-Katan. Like all the important beats.
Yeah,
was her.
Like even the end with
Din's just a side
with
character.
Paz Vizsla sacrificing himself. That should have been Din because those two had more of a connection than him and Bo-Katan. But Bo was like, "No, I'm not leaving you," and he's like, there's too many. This is the way. And I was like, why was Din not in the scene? Like it just.
Oh, because they captured him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm stupid. Yeah, you're right. I'm dumb. Yeah. Okay, you're right. No, that was a bad complaint. I'll probably cut this out. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I like it. It's just I'm just bummed that like the cool part of this whole season has just again become like Moff Gideon doing something cool. Sure.
And like there's a conflict with that. Like it's the same shit that happened last season. It's the same shit that happened the season before. It all culminates where you see him in episode 7 and then he gets beat in episode 8. And maybe this time around, it'll not be he gets beat, but I'm assuming he will.
Because literally, you're right. In seasons 1 and 2, he shows up again in episodes 7 and 8, and he gets taken down in episode 8 each time. And
I'm not going to complain. Like I think 7 and 8 of each season always turns out to be
really good,
super great. I mean, but here's the thing: who died in season 7? Like of this, not season 7. Who died in episode 7 of season 1? Queel did.
Who?
Right? Queel.
Oh, okay.
He died. Now you have Paz Vizsla dying. It's just a bit.
It's just a bit too much of
predictable,
the same. Right?
And like I thought it was cool to see them kill off a character, and like I think Paz Vizsla is a great character, and I didn't want to see him die, but. I'm just like bummed that, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it all has to end up here like it always does. And we didn't really, I don't feel like we got a strong journey throughout most of the season to get to this point is all.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the journey here has been rough, but I'm glad we're finally here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I also.
Because it would have been so much cooler to have all this built up conflict and then it gets resolved finally with Bo and Din, but we didn't. And
now Bo is, I don't know. I didn't get to mention this earlier, but the director, Rick Fuyama, or is that how you pronounce his name?
I don't know.
Okay. He's also a producer on this season. And I have the quote. It's a long one, but basically he says that through the season, they are looking at it more now as like Din doesn't have to be the main character, and that the title of the show could be about, it's the Mandalorian. It could be about any Mandalorian.
Or I don't like that.
And so I was like, wow, you literally just confirmed that like Din is truly not the main character of the season. You know, like it's I don't know. It's just the fact that they're aware of it is bumming me out too, because it's like it's a conscious choice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want anybody to think that I'm against Bo-Katan.
No, I like Bo-Katan.
I like her.
Right, but I don't think she needs to be the main character of the show.
It's just we followed Din for 2 seasons.
2.5 with Boba Fett.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted that. And like here's the thing.
And now it's
like,
not.
It's like, what if you watched a season of The Sopranos and then for like a whole season, you just focused on, Christopher.
I mean, yeah.
Or you focused on like Paulie.
Right.
And
you'd
it's like, I like Paulie, but like I came here for Tony.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I feel
like it's cool when we got the one episode where it was Paulie and Christopher
Chris,
out in the woods.
Uh-huh.
But we still got some Tony stuff going on. Like it's just like this is weird television.
Agreed.
You know, it's the same thing with like Book of Boba Fett. I was like, oh yeah, we'll just have 2 Din episodes
and no episodes where the main character. Sorry, and 2 episodes where the main character has no lines. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think
and how's that? Right. And then that excuse is like, what excuse is there? Because you're like, it's not the Mandalorian,
right?
It's like the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. So there's zero excuse for that. Yeah. But you know,
I mean, I this is definitely like a super strong episode. I think everything was done particularly well for the most part.
Right. I think this is my favorite episode of the season. I would say.
Yeah, it might be mine too.
Like I think it's like I even kind of liked last week's episode, and I think it's a lot better than last week's.
It's a lot better than last week's. Yeah, it might be my favorite. Either that or 4.
Was that the one with Elia Kane? Or
no, 4 was when the pirates showed up with the big ship.
4 was the child one. 6 was the pirates, I think. Wasn't that last episode?
No, the last episode was like.
So that was 5 then.
Sure, yeah. Sorry, 5. Yeah. 5 was my favorite.
Cool.
Well, not. It's either this one or 5. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe 3 is a good contender, but like even in this episode, they still didn't explain why they had to do that to Pershing.
Oh, right. They might have, and I just
I mean, basically, he was like, what's the progress? And he was like, oh, well, he was captured by New Republic people, and for the time being, we've lost his research. And I was like, okay.
I guess like the thing is that she just didn't want him to talk.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our review this week on Mandalorian episode 7. We're thinking it'll be a pretty great finale, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Thank you all for listening to our podcast today. We are at Last Week This Week on our social medias if you want to check us out there on Instagram and TikTok. We're also on YouTube at Last Week This Week if you want to check out our reviews and shorts, and our longer podcasts are uploaded there as well. Our shorts are also on TikTok and Instagram as Reels. And if you want to leave us a comment, and a rating if you liked what you heard today and you want to support us, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yep. We're still waiting on a rating.
Well, I will say, people like I was told by a friend that they reviewed it and it just hasn't showed up. So I think we might be getting reviews. We just have to get a certain amount of reviews for it to show up.
Okay. All right. Well,
so yes,
maybe
I guess
send us give us a review so we can have our first review.
Yeah, so we can keep showing up or show up at one point.
And we will take a picture. We will put it on our Instagram and we will frame it.
Absolutely.
So if you want to be the first one.
Yeah, I'm sure the dates will show up on the review. Yeah. Maybe. So
yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
And until next time.